And we're live. So, have you ever watched something automatically sparked a familiar image in your head and you get all jittery and excited looking up the research? Well, that just happened to me about 5 minutes ago. So, was a DVD. It's a documentary about what happened to the artifacts and the buildings of the 1964 through 65 World's Fair. Now, while the majority of the stuff got demolished after the World's Fair closed, the attractions, the Disney attractions, It's a Small World, Carousel of Progress, and Times with Abe Lincoln, An Evening with Abe Lincoln, something like that. While the Carousel of Progress is still at Disney World, the original It's a Small World, and the Great Moments with Abraham Lincoln, that's it. Great Moments with Abraham Lincoln is still at Disneyland. So anyway, there got a part to the Disney segment of this documentary, which I found very interesting. Now, this isn't the first time the Disney company has partnered up with a major car dealership. Now, in the 1960s, the Ford Mustang was the must-have if you were the guy in high school and you wanted to get the hot cheerleader to be your girlfriend. You needed a Ford Mustang because they were the it cars of the 60s. Now, Disney had an attraction called the Ford Motor Skyway. Ford Motor Magic Skyway, however you want to pronounce it, but that was the attraction. What it was you were in a Ford car, and it took you through the history of human evolution. I know, it sounds very bizarre. Why would a Ford car go back in history to the time of the dinosaurs? Weird, but that's what the attraction was. You were in a Ford car, and you were taken through the history of man, from pre-human age, the dinosaurs, then to the Romans, then to the cavemen, then to the Romans, so on and so forth. That was the attraction. It sounds very bizarre. Believe me, you're in a Ford car going back in time. It sounds very weird, but that's not the point. But here's the interesting thing, though. If you look at the pictures of the Ford Magic Skyway, compare it to Test Track, they look very similar. And I had to look this up because I got very excited when automatically the comparisons started popping in my head watching this. I had to do a quick research on what happened to the Ford Magic Skyway. Well, here's something interesting. In Epcot, there are two things that are very resemblance of the World's Fair. The World in Motion, or what was originally called the General Motors Futurama in Flushing Meadow, Queens, when it was at the World's Fair, was scientific exhibit. It was a science exhibit that also had featured cars as well. You got to imagine here, General Motors and Ford, big major companies, car dealerships of the 60s. So now, is now occasionally open World of Motion, GM World of Motion in Epcot. Yeah, the original pavilion, the GM Futurama, is in Epcot. It's called the World of Motion. But here's the interesting part. When I said Test Track in the Ford Magic Skyway, it turns out that Test Track at Disney World is inspired by the Ford Magic Skyway. I'm a Disney freak. I mean, I love Disney World. I may not be crazy with the changes that they're doing to the theme parks, but that's besides the point. I love Disney World. I've been going there over a decade. I love Disney World. So, to my amazement / surprise / Giddy as a schoolboy in me, this is very fascinating to me. I had no idea Test Track was inspired by the Ford Magic Skyway. But here's a quick tip. If you're also a Disney person, here's what you'll find fascinating. There's a popular ride still at Epcot called Ellen's Universe of Energy. Now, if you have no idea what Ellen's Universe of Energy is, I'll break it down to you. This was, I would say, late 90s, early 2000s, this thing was made. So it's a pre-show of Ellen DeGeneres. You can tell how dated this thing is. She talks about the time when in Brooklyn, in New York, you didn't have to lock your doors at all. You could leave your doors open. Your friends and family and neighbors would come in and out of your house without even knocking. Now, times have changed, though. Everyone's paranoid to leave their doors unlocked, and understandably so. So, now, Bill Nye the Science Guy is also upon this. And so Bill Nye decides to take Ellen DeGeneres through from the Big Bang to what from the dinosaurs age to what we have today through the technologies and all that. So she could win her Dream Jeopardy game against Judy, who was her college roommate. So that's the premise. But the rooms of the dinosaurs are also inspired by the Ford Magic Skyway. They're also inspired by that. Now, this kind of makes more sense because this is going through that and history of energy. Okay. But with this attraction, now the Carousel Progress in Disney World is the original Progress Land. The top part used to be a science exhibit, and at the bottom's Carousel Progress. But if you look at the way the antenna is at the end of Ellen's Universe of Energy, where you see the radio tower, it's the radiation tower of Progress Land. It's almost a mirror image. Mind-blowing, right? Leave it to Disney to put its history within its own attractions. Anyway, I found this interesting because as a Walt Disney World freak, I love history, but Disney World history, New York history, music history, you name it, I love it. I find it very interesting that all these years I've been visiting World's Fair inspired things, and I did not even know it. That's the amazing thing as you get older, is that you start to take more notice of things. Because when you're a kid, everything's all fun. Everything's all games. Everything's all, how do I say it? Everything's all carefree. But as you get older, you start to appreciate the things that you thought were carefree, like the history of things that you loved as a kid. You start to appreciate it more, appreciate the history of the stuff even more, and you start to get excited more so when you look it up and read about it. Anyway, that's the video live feed for tonight. And the reason why I did the video like this is because it's what I find incredibly interesting. So anyway, I will do more videos on Disney World history since I consider myself a Disney World historian. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoy. See ya.